Buckeyes Outside, your place to get the knowledge to get you hunting. Firearms seasons are the most popular form of deer hunting. Firearms let you reach out to further distances than would be possible with archery equipment. Oftentimes, family and friends have the deer camp traditions. This is often especially true in states like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and the state up north that starts with the letter M that borders the great state of Ohio. Firearms seasons and allowable equipment are going to change from state to state and even zone to zone. Make sure to check your state's laws before buying any equipment. I will give basic recommendations for equipment in each of the main categories. The main factors of these suggestions are going to be price, functionality, simplicity, and practicality. Over time, personal opinions will develop. Brands, calibers, and loads can be debated until the end of time. This video will not cover muzzleloading equipment for the traditional type season that may exist in many states as added firearm seasons. This is a topic for another day. We're going to start off with shotgun-only states or zones. In this category, there's only one real practical option right now. It's a Mossberg 500. I would recommend the field and deer barrel combo. They start at about $429. Oftentimes they come with the scope. The Mossberg 500 is a pump action shotgun. This will allow for a couple additional follow-up shots when needed. Mossberg 500s are available in two sizes, 20 gauge and 12 gauge. For younger or smaller framed shooters, I would recommend the 20 gauge. It's a good place to start and it won't beat you up. For more experienced and larger shooters, I always like to punch a bigger hole whenever I can, and a 12 gauge will do that. Included are two separate barrels that interchange easily. One of the barrels is going to be rifled. It will have spirals going down the barrel. The other barrel is going to be smooth. The smooth barrel is what you're going to hunt small game with, such as rabbits, pheasants, squirrels, and even waterfowl. The rifled barrel is the barrel that you would use to hunt deer in those shotgun-only states. The proper ammunition to shoot out of a rifled barrel are sabot, or often pronounced sabot slugs. I typically use the sabot pronunciation not because it's correct, but because it sounds like it's spelled and feels less pretentious. Check the stamp on the barrel for the correct gauge and length for the shell. Most new guns are going to allow for 2 3/4 and 3-inch shells. I recommend just shooting the 2 3/4-inch varieties. They offer more abundant options. Option B for a shotgun state is going to be using a smooth bore barrel with a rifled slug. These slugs are often referred to as Foster slugs or rifled slugs. The slug itself will have grooves cut in it so that when it expands, it grabs the barrel and puts a little spin on the projectile. These are not nearly as accurate as sabot slugs through a rifled barrel. Do not interchange the two. If you have a smooth bore barrel, use a rifled slug. If you have a rifled barrel, use a sabot slug. If you are using a rifled slug through a smooth bore barrel, you're going to want to have the most open choke possible on your shotgun. Ideally, you will be using a cylinder choke, or at worst, an improved cylinder. On modern shotguns, the chokes will be interchangeable. You can easily screw them in and out, and there are many original equipment options and aftermarket options available. Many of the traditionally shotgun-only states have started allowing straight-walled cartridge options. Again, check your state's laws to verify legal calibers and case lengths. Advantages to straight-walled cartridges are more accuracy, lighter recoiling options versus the 12 and 20 gauge shotguns, more firearm options, potentially further ranges. These options are still only practical out to about a max of 150 yards. Some people are going to argue with me on that, but if you look at the ballistics, 150 yards is a pretty good shot. They just can't get the velocities of a regular neck-down high-power cartridge that would extend these ranges out to 200, 300, or even 500 yards. Some of the cartridges that are going to be on the top of the straight-walled cartridge list are going to be a new one called 350 Legend. It's kind of taking the straight-walled cartridge game by storm. You have a traditional 44 Remington Magnum, you have a newer 450 Bushmaster, and the old 4570 Government. I'm really sure that the 4570 Government is not available to use in all of the straight-walled states. My personal favorite of the straight-walled cartridges is going to be the 350 Legend. And that's because it does something that a 12 gauge won't do, and it's lighter recoil. It has about the same recoil as a 410, or if you're familiar with a 243. It's very light and allows younger shooters and smaller frame shooters, or others that are just recoil sensitive, to place good shots. The 350 Legend ammo is very reasonable. A good solid hunting round will cost you about $1.55 a shot, and practice ammo is available for as cheap as 60 to 70 cents a shot. There are also many affordable options for firearms available. Ruger, Mossberg make really nice looking bolt action options, as well as CVA, who makes some single shot options, and there are more out there. So find something that you like and fits you well. Another option for the larger shooters would be the 450 Bushmaster, but that's going to have about the same recoil as a 12 gauge. So keep that in mind. And the ammo is also slightly more expensive. It's going to run you about $2 a round, and there's not the cheaper practice ammunition options available out there at the moment. The regular high-powered rifle states are a little more straightforward. There are probably 1,000 or more options available for hunting cartridges, and there are tons of firearm types available in those cartridges. A great deer hunting cartridge for a younger or smaller shooter, or even larger shooter for that matter, would be the 243 Winchester. If you want something a little bigger, you could go with a 270 or a 6.5 Creedmoor. If you ever had any thoughts about hunting elk or larger game out west, you may want to look into a 30-06 or 300 Win Mag. I know I left some people's favorite rounds out of there, and I'm happy to hear about them in the comments section. Those cartridges I mentioned have pretty good ammo availability at the moment. Most of those rounds are going to cost you between $1.80 and $2 a shot for quality hunting rounds. Whatever the correct option is for you, go out and practice. Get to know your equipment's limitations, and your personal limitations. If you have a good story about your first deer hunt or your first deer, leave it in the comments section. Don't forget to let us know what your favorite deer round is. I hope you like the channel. I hope it helps you out, and I hope you learn something. And if you do,
like and subscribe right now, or you won't get any deer this year.